Missing persons is a community phenomenon where people are very interested in the idea of something happening and coming together to solve a mystery. Yet it also talks to the fact that sometimes it's a bit of trauma infotainment, that it connects people with an opportunity to really focus in on a story and feel like they're banding together for an outcome. I think now when we look at the role, particularly of meta AI, and what's happening is that it's the blending together of fact and fiction. And it's very difficult to discern as a community member which parts are fact and which parts are fiction, which leads ultimately to increased trauma for the families and the searchers who are having to deal with those stories all of the time.
I mean, even in this post, Meta AI says, according to a recent Facebook post, detectives found Gus's toy, which he was holding when he disappeared, with blood on it, a decisive piece of evidence. Police have never announced anything like that. That is completely fabricated. That's pretty scary in terms of like what's being made up out there.
Exactly. I think, in the early days of missing persons, before social media, even before the internet, the community-based rumour mill was something that also created some concerns for families who were left behind, where people would whisper and try and fill in those gaps when the police weren't filling it in for them. And over the years, as technology has changed, we've seen that rumour mill change from community discussions to online discussions to now AI discussions. I think that it's really problematic because it takes police's attention away from the search and rescue or recovery operations and requires them to answer questions that have nothing to do with what's happening right now. It also creates intrigue within the community of something that doesn't currently exist. That takes a lot of attention away from the fact that we should be focused on a family is currently missing their little one. I mean, I've been working in missing persons for over 20 years, and I know that the police have sometimes engaged psychics. Almost all of the families that I've worked with have spoken to psychics or mediums in the past, because of course you don't want to leave any stone unturned. You will do anything to try and locate a loved one. But I must admit, and I'm not a skeptic, but I like to be focused on facts and science, is that none of the cases that I've worked on have ever been solved by a psychic. And sometimes in that pursuit of sharing new ideas, families talk about the increase of hope that they have. And then when that turns out not to be the resolution they were looking for, it becomes almost a bit of a hope hangover, where your idea and excitement is elevated that maybe this is the one piece of information that brings my loved one home, and then you have to deal with the reality the next day when they haven't come back.